Hello, hello, everyone, and welcome to Addiction Talk Live. I can see you as you're coming in tonight. We have a very special guest joining us on tonight's show, Rumer Willis. She is in the house already, and we're going to bring her up in just 1 second for this Addiction Talk Live with Rumer. So, we're really excited to start this conversation. On Addiction Talk, we bring you stories of people who have struggled with addiction but are going strong and sharing their journey. So, Rumer, hi.
Hi,
How are you today?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, great. We wanted to have you on because your story is so powerful. I watched your interview on other platforms like Red Table Talk, and you're just so transparent that we knew having you on today on Addiction Talk would be so beneficial to so many people because your story matters. So,
Thank you.
I want to just check in. We have, hey, lovely humans, tell us where you're joining from. As we have Rumor on here, we'd love to hear where you're listening from tonight. As we get into this conversation, people are saying happy birthday. Pakistan, wow, people are joining from Brazil. Rumor, you have people joining from all over. I know your fans want to hear all about what you have to say tonight, but we see people are joining from Barcelona, so all
Ah,
over. So let's get into this Rumor. As I think about you as an actress and just all that you're doing, what has made you open to being so public about your journey?
Well, I mean, for me, and this is not for everybody because I think recovery is definitely not a one size fits all in certain aspects. Uh, it was just important to me to be transparent because, well, not only in this aspect of my life, I try and be, the most transparent I can because I think I would hope that in by sharing what I've experienced, sharing, experience, strength, and hope, that I could not, necessarily fix anybody or help anybody avoid what I went through because you have to go through whatever you're going to go through, but just to let someone know that they're not alone or that there's someone else who's understood that experience or has felt similarly because I think when we feel that someone else has gone through something similar or felt something similar, it makes us feel a little bit less alone.
That's so powerful what you said right there. And I want to touch on that because you can feel alone in this journey. Did you, Rumor, as you were struggling over the years and finally getting to nearly, 5 years of sobriety now? Congratulations. But did you have moments where you felt alone in this journey and what you were going through in your struggle with alcohol?
I never did, and I'm really grateful for that because I have a huge support system in my family because we're all sober. Um, and I was kind of the last one, so I I fortunately didn't have that, but I understand that that is a big part of this, especially if you're in a situation where a lot of your friends are still drinking and you don't have that support system. It's, I can imagine, really challenging to try and stick to something or and try and feel like this hard, like this thing that seems so challenging, that seems so looming above your head, making it feel like, you know, you're the only one going through it or you have no support system.
Mhm. Yeah, I know that's really big. And so many people now are saying congratulations on your recovery journey. And I know it hasn't always been easy. Take me back to when you first started to realize that alcohol was a problem for you.
Um, See, it's interesting because I, even in my kind of evolution of uh, figuring out exactly how I identified, if I wanted to call myself an addict or an alcoholic, figuring out, what that, all of that meant to me. Um, it was really, what I think is interesting and what I think is important to share is that everybody's bottom looks very different. And
So
you can
true.
have a bottom, like in my mind, I had a very particular idea of what I thought an alcoholic was and what I thought like bottom was. And what I was going through and maybe like struggling, and I would say having more of maybe like an abusive relationship with um it didn't look like the idea that I had in my head. So it was very hard for me to go, oh yes, I should identify this way, or this is a problem. But I think honestly the biggest thing for me, I'm curious actually if anyone else has ever felt this way. I started having panic attacks
Mm.
when I would drink because my body also doesn't process alcohol well. So when I would feel hungover, it would be until like 7 p.m. the next day. And so I
Mm.
started to get panic attacks if I was drinking about how bad I was going to feel the next day. And so like truly it's not like I had this, huge bottom moment that like a wake up call for me. It really was just this moment of going, why am I doing this? Because this doesn't even feel good. I'm not even getting the moment of enjoying this. I'm not even getting the moment of, of that illusion of this is fun or this is whatever, because it was just already so stressful. And I just didn't like the version of myself that I was when I would drink. And so it honestly started out as I was just going to do sober January. And then it turned into now almost 5 years. Um,
Which is so ironic because, we're coming up on Sober January. And for you to say, hey, I'm going to try this on Sober January to see, how I feel different. And I don't like the version of myself of who I am when I drink. That is so powerful. Who do you feel you were compared to who you are now when you were drinking? What didn't you like about that version of yourself? Because I think that's a wake up call to many people
yeah.
is who you become when you're drinking that lets you know something isn't right for you.
Well, and I don't want to speak for everyone, but in my own experience, when I would drink, I think obviously because it lowers your inhibitions. And I think it gave me this false sense of confidence. And I was using it almost as a tool to, hi Dolores, sorry, my dog is coming to say hello.
We could hear that in the background. Hi, Dolores.
I think it felt to me like, go on, Dolores, come on. Like this way to be this version of myself that I thought was smarter, funnier, more confident, um, more interesting. And it's a lie. It's
That's good.
completely a lie. Um, and 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 so it's this illusion of uh, I don't know, like that you're somehow this more magical, more sparkly version of yourself if you're drinking. And I also think, that there's moments, something that I've noticed in the media is and even in society, it's really I can't think of the word right now, but
Glamorized or
yeah, it's like glamorized, but it's also
yeah.
um like normalized to be like, oh, you've had a horrible day, go get wasted. Oh, your boyfriend or your girlfriend just broke up with you, go get wasted. Like get, there's this idea that like it's normal and societally normal to do that. Oh, you know what? I wonder if we can do this. Someone is asking if we could turn on closed captions. I don't know entirely how to do that on here.
Let me see if I can do it on my end.
Yeah, you might.
I don't see it. Let's see. I see the camera. Y'all, you have to apologize. This is our first time going on Instagram Live on Addiction Talk. I am not sure how to do that either. Let me see. I know we're getting some questions in here. Um, hmm. Well, y'all, sorry about that. What we'll do, we are going to have the replay of this. So if you miss any of the conversation, we will be able to hopefully turn on the captions after that. But just to reset for everyone, if you're just joining us, Rumer Willis is joining us on Addiction Talk. Addiction Talk is an online talk show where we share the stories of people who found sobriety and who are sharing their journeys in hopes of helping someone else. Maybe you're struggling today. Maybe you're wondering if what you're going through is normal. Maybe you're feeling alone in this moment, especially as we're going into the holidays. Well, this is a conversation for you tonight with Rumer Willis on Addiction Talk. It's brought to you by American Addiction Centers, and she is sharing her journey and her story. So hopefully if you're joining us, that gives you a little bit of information of everything that we're going to be discussing. And Rumer has just been talking about, you know, how she had a perception of what rock bottom was, and hers wasn't like that. She was struggling with panic attacks. And then she just decided, you know what? Sober January is going to be my time to try to see if I can go in this sobriety journey. And guess what? It's been nearly 5 years. So that's where we are. If you're just now joining us, I see some people saying, I'm struggling. Well, this is the conversation for you. Thank you so much for being so transparent and for sharing where you are. And people were saying, Rumer, thank you for your authenticity in this. And as we were talking about this, what made you, once you decided to do the dry January, the sober January, and realizing that you didn't like this version of yourself when you drank, it was false. It made you feel like you were confident and you were all this, but you realized it was all a lie. And so you get into this journey of starting it in January. What kept you going? What made you say, I need to keep this going? Because there's so many people who are listening who are like, can I do this? Is this for me?
I mean, I think one of the biggest things is having a huge support system around you. And if you don't feel like that you have that now, create it. Go to meetings, meet like peers, you know, make outreach calls, and don't feel bad about making outreach calls. Like, ask for help. If you need to go to as many meetings as you need to a day to continue, whatever version of recovery is working for you to make it through the day, like, figure it out and try and create that support system for yourself is, I think, a huge thing, number one. And the other thing was, part of it is my personality. I'm very perfectionistic. And so there was this part of me that was like, oh, I have a month. Well, I can't go back now. There was almost like I made it a challenge for myself. And that just worked for, that's just how, my brain works. But I think another thing also was, when you stop pushing feelings down and you stop things with alcohol, drugs, food, sex, shopping, whatever is the fuel for that to continue to push everything down, all of these feelings start coming up. And for me, that was something I had never really experienced before. I didn't realize how many, even just my health, just how feeling, or how little awareness I had of my body. That was a huge moment of realization for me of how the emotional tax, not just the physical tax from drinking, but the emotional tax from it had done to my body. So I spent a lot of time really just working through all of the emotions that were coming up. And so that took me into the first, 3-4 months of my sobriety.
Let me stop right there with you, Rumer, because I think that's something so powerful that many people, when they're turning to alcohol or drugs, it's a coping mechanism with feelings, with all of that. So what were the feelings? What did you find was coming up for you? What were the things that you had to process and deal with?
I don't know. Just I feel like it would be different for every person. Just, the way things that I was feeling about myself, or negativity or self-judgment, or just things I wasn't dealing with, things that I was just kind of hoping to ignore and hope that it would go away. But I think there's, to me, there's a big, maybe not a misconception, but I think that there's something that's not really discussed enough, which is it's not just, okay, I got sober and that's the end of it. That's really step one is, okay, Dolores, come here. Enough. Step step one is just stopping the use of whatever, substance or thing that you're using to as a medicator, right? And then the next step is dealing with all of the things that you're using that medicator for, which I think sometimes gets lost in translation when discussing addiction of any kind, because that's where the real, again, I won't say this for everyone, but for me, that's where the real work was,
Mm.
you know, when I made a decision to stop, it was very easy for me to go, all right, I'm done with that. But what was more challenging was to deal with then all of the stuff that you're trying to cover up underneath, or that hole that you're trying to fill with either drinking or whatever, your particular vice may be.
Mhm. Yeah, and you know what I think is really powerful about that rumor? Sometimes people see celebrities like yourself and they like, how could they have any problems? They have the whole world at their fingertips, but many people don't know what's going on behind the scenes and the things that you're dealing with in your life. Do you feel like many people have no clue just how challenging it is, one, to be in the public eye and to grow up this way and just all of the pressure that I'm sure you faced as a child and throughout, your lifetime?
Look, it's all relative, right? I would never like say I've had it harder, or like people don't understand, like, for me, I'm a victim, because I'm not a victim of my life. I have made choices just like everyone else has, and I had a certain set of circumstances that had certain um challenges, but there are other challenges, you know what I mean? Like I think I'm forgetting who said this, but look, comparison is the thief of joy, really. And so I think if you're looking at someone's life trying to compare it, that's never going to really solve anything. And I think, you know, my the disturbances in my life and the upset and the dis-ease that I created with drinking, it's no one's responsibility but my own. It's not because of pressure or because of how I grew up or because of my parents or because of people being mean to me on the internet. That's, I think, partly probably DNA and genetics, and also just, and this is my personal viewpoint and it could be a little woo-woo for some people, but it's just like whatever I also found the world to deal with. And that was part of it.
Rumer, you are so brave because you take a lot of this on yourself. Like many people will say, it's my environment or things that I've experienced. But it's interesting because I see that you just have true ownership in everything that has happened and saying, hey, I can make a difference now. What do you hope people will learn from your story? What do you hope they take away from your story and could be a life lesson for them?
Something I struggled with, I see you, Dolores. Something that I struggled with for a long time was really rejecting this part of me, or carrying a lot of shame, guilt about decisions I made or the person I was when I was in this particular period of my life. And from my own experience, and especially even recently, what I have learned is that the more that you try and reject pieces of yourself and hold shame and guilt for decisions you've made or ways that you've behaved, the farther away you will continue to be from being whole and being integrated, and of like filling up that hole that we try to fill with whatever medicator it may be. And so I think my encouragement would be to really, to the best of your ability, like use some compassionate self-forgiveness and try and forgive yourself and like release maybe some of the misidentifications and judgments and stories that you're holding yourself, so that you can move forward. And you know, that's not to say don't make amends or take accountability or responsibility, but also nothing is served if you spend a lifetime of just like holding on to this guilt and shame and of like, I'm so bad, and really like taking time to forgive yourself for any and all judgments that you're holding, even if you're still working towards sobriety. I think is really massively important.
Yeah, I think that's huge. And, you know, you talk a lot about forgiving yourself, but also choosing yourself this time.
Yeah.
What has that been like? Because a lot of times, like you said, we're dealing with so many things and we're using alcohol or substances to just feel normal or okay. Um, but tell me a little bit more about that, because I think choosing yourself is big in this.
Yeah. I mean, I think choosing yourself to me is all about, oh man, I mean, I'm still figuring it out, but it's it's the same, I think, as what I was saying, which is just about allowing all parts of yourself and loving all parts of yourself. Hello, yes, I see you.
He just loves you.
I
Just
know,
love.
she's mad. Um, is like really coming into a place where you can have deep, authentic acceptance of yourself, and sit and like radical acceptance, to the point where it's probably really uncomfortable, and taking as much time as you need. Dolores, stop. Go on. Please stop. To really allow whatever emotions need to come up, whatever grief needs to come up, whatever sadness, and like taking that part of you that was obviously hurting so bad, that felt like the only way to escape that pain was to cover it up or numb it out with some substance or person or food or whatever it may be. And just allow that part of you to really feel those feelings, and allow that part of you to be seen and heard. And
Mm.
you know, I work a lot with doing like inner child work, and like really just, there's a little kid in you sometimes that is running the show, and that's the part that you need to talk to. That's the part that you need to reassure. That's the part that you need to say, you know, I know it's probably really scary to walk into this social situation, and I'm sure you're feeling like a little bit of anxiety, or maybe you're feeling insecure, but you're great, and I'm here for you, and I got you, and you're not alone. And really engaging in talk like that with yourself has really changed me.
I love that, because, you know, just like you said, talking to that inner child and healing that inner child, and just talking a little bit about this. You know, you're on both sides of it, because you've had to deal with addiction as yourself, but also with your mother, Demi Moore. She's been very open about her struggles. What is it like having to be on both sides? One, being someone who struggled, you know, with addiction yourself, but then also dealing with your mother and what she was going through, and your sisters. What is that like?
Well, I mean, it's, you know, it was definitely challenging at times in my life, but I think what has been the most amazing thing about this journey for all of us as a family is that in a lot of ways I feel like it has allowed for a different level and depth of communication, that I don't know if we necessarily would have had otherwise. I don't know, but I think that the place that we are all in today with each other is the best place that we have ever all been, and something I'm so deeply grateful for. And being able to have a group of people that you're the closest to who really understand and have been through and recognizing things in yourself and being able to, have forgiveness, Dolores, please, for others and for yourself, because you can see it as a reflection.
Wow, that's powerful. What you said, you can see it as a reflection, even as you're dealing with watching what your mother went through or your sisters. What has been the best part of going through this together? I know you talked about the communication, but is there a level of understanding that you have or grace for each other through this journey, just seeing what you've experienced?
Yeah. Dolores, I hear you, please. I'm so sorry, you guys. Hold on.
That's okay. We love, you know what, dogs, we love Dolores, and everybody has been commenting on how cute Dolores is. And so she just wanted a little attention. She said her mommy is having an important conversation and she must be part of that conversation. So no worries at all, because I know you're sharing some important parts. So
yes, I think that I think that, again, like I said, because I was kind of the last one to the bunch, just having people in my family that we all speak the same language, and we we have, like I said, we have a different level of communication because of this, which I'm so deeply grateful for.
no, I think that's huge. And I know you've talked about it before where there were times where you went years and didn't talk to your mother. To see you guys at this place now, what does that feel like? Because I know there were times when she was in the midst of her addiction that you guys had to separate and things like that. So to see where you are today is just huge. And it talks about the power, I think, of forgiveness in this whole journey.
Yeah, because I think I would say 90% of the time, if we look at someone else and we see something that feels triggering, it's usually triggering because it's something that we don't like about ourselves, right? So if we're holding judgment for someone else, I think it's really important to take time to kind of do an inventory in yourself and go, wow, oh, this feels so uncomfortable. I wonder why this feels so uncomfortable. Can I look back at it like I've done that same behavior to someone, or I've, I've somehow caused something like this? And then when you work from that place, going, wow, okay, this is why this is challenging for me, and how, if I can maybe forgive someone else or I can forgive myself, then maybe there's no reason to hold on to that judgment. You know, like how you hold something is everything. How you relate to an issue is the issue. It's really just how you're holding it.
Mhm.
And oh yeah, please.
Now, I was going to say, did you ever find just in this journey, did you feel like you had to forgive your mom? Was that a part of this for you? And if you did, was there a moment that you had this light bulb moment that I need to release all of this?
Um, Not necessarily. I mean, I think, again, I think what's more important than looking outside ourselves and going, oh, I need to do this or I need to do this, is really centering it back on yourself and really going, why am I holding on to this? Why am I still allowing this to have this charge? And when I can let it go, and I can, and also giving someone the opportunity to meet them where they're at. One of the biggest things for me, not just with recovery, but I think in general in life is we've all made mistakes. We've all done silly things as kids, as teenagers, even as adults, right? And especially with addiction. But I think allowing, if you can come from a place of, all right, this person, if I'm holding judgments about a person and the person that they were a couple years ago or when they did something different, then I'm not really allowing them the dignity of their process to meet them where they're at. Because if you're just coming at someone with this judgment and this kind of FU type attitude, then how is there really space for someone to show you where they're at, or to show you, or even for them maybe to say, hey, you know, I want to make amends, or whatever it may be. I think it can be really challenging. What I would encourage family members, if you are a family member of someone who's struggling, you know, there's a lot of great resources for that as well that I think can be very helpful. And also just remembering to slow down and be patient, and really allowing someone the dignity of their process within their evolution of what they're trying to figure out. I really hope that I would not be judged by people, by friends, by family for who I was when I was not making the best decisions.
But Rumer, you have just gotten to this amazing place just to hear you talk. It's like this whole evolution. And many people are like, how did you get there? How did you get there? Because a lot of people hear you and they're like, wait, wow, she's at this place where she forgave, you know, anyone who had done anything wrong to her relationship with her mom going from not talking for years to the family being so close. How did you get there? What was it that led you to this moment of being able to be the woman you are today, to have that forgiveness, to have that grace, and to speak from a place of not even judgment, but of love, really?
Again, I would say a lot of it had to do with forgiving myself, with finding and searching for wholeness and not searching for others' validation to make me feel complete. So that when I'm going into situations, when I'm engaging with people, say like my friends or my family, I'm not looking to them to validate my life, to validate my progress, to validate my sobriety, and continuing to choose it for myself, for someone else, I think is huge. But also just seeking out, you know, I've been in a spiritual psychology class for the last 3 years, and that dramatically changed my life. And I've really sought out different avenues to continue this work of diving deep into my pain. Because for me, for a long time when I was still drinking, how I viewed my pain was it was like this black hole in front of me, and I felt like if I even touched it that I would fall in, and I would. And I think that I've heard from other friends that can be a common feeling of like I just can't touch it because it's too hard. I can't even think about it. I can't engage with it. And once I sought out the right support and and found tools to start slowly excavating all of that, then I was able to allow it to come out in a way where I felt supported and I felt safe, even if that was just with my family, and I could express and say, hey, I'm having this old feeling come up, or I'm feeling triggered by this, and or this situation, like, do you have a second to hold space? Can we talk about this? And being able to ask for what you need in a way that's not coming from a place of ego attachment or like a value set system. So if you're asking for help and then someone's not able to hold space or show up for you that way, of not then going, oh, I'm not valuable of help, or this person isn't like doesn't care or value me. Just maybe somewhere else, and a place that can properly hold and make you feel supported.
Well, Rumer, as we wrap up this conversation, there's just a few more things I wanted to ask you because you said some powerful stuff there, and I love the self journey that you're on. But there's somebody here probably listening who may feel like they're at that black hole that you described, where they may not want to touch the feelings, where they're using alcohol or substances to get through the day or just to make it. What would you say to someone who's struggling right now from your own journey?
Um, make outreach calls. I think that is one of, like, seek out support and seek out the friends that will help keep you, that won't encourage old behavior, I would say. Let's not call it bad or good, but like old behavior. Seek out people. If you need to call a friend, you need to say, hey, I need to like come sit at your house and just talk to you so that I don't drink or I don't do this. Or, you know, I would say I'll go to a meeting. Like, I think finding support in whatever way that looks like for you is one of the most beneficial things, because our heads can get in the way so fast and can become such like a gateway to this downward spiral. So just remembering, if you're in this moment of like deep panic or like attacks like I did, one of a really useful tool that I used to do was I would go, okay, I just have to make it the next 5 minutes. And it can be whatever increment of time feels right for you. But it would be like, all right, it's 5 o'clock. I'm going to make it to 5:05. And once I make it to 5:05, I'll see if I can do another 5 minutes. And sometimes it needs to be that small, you know? And also just allowing grace and really holding deep compassion as these emotions start coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And really just being gentle and tender with that part of you that has been scared and hiding out for so long.
Wow. I don't think you could have said it any better. I think reaching out for help, you know, whether that's, like you said, friends, you know, at American Addiction Centers, we do offer addiction treatment. So if people feel like they need that level of help, we know so many people are struggling right now. And, you know, as we leave you, Rumer, you know, I think about your journey of 5 years. That is, first of all, congratulations on that 5 years. I know I said it again, but I can't say it enough. Um, what's been the best part about sobriety for you?
Oh my God, this is so probably like so silly, but waking up in the morning and knowing that I will feel fine and just being engaged in all of it, in the pain, in the sadness, being able to be so present with my feelings has affected so many areas of my life, especially even my work. Like, I did not realize how Dolores, that's bad manners, how many, how like cut off. Like, I felt like all of my emotions were like under here and I had no access to them. And they would only sometimes then even come out when I would drink. And now I feel like a whole person. Like, I have this whole range of emotion, of delight, of anger, of sadness, and I get to experience it all. And I get to choose how to interact with all of it. And I also get to choose not to make it bad or not make it mean something about me. And I get to show up as myself, how I choose.
I love that. You get to show up as yourself as you choose. And, you know, if you're just joining us, you've been listening to Addiction Talk with Rumer Willis. Some powerful things she said tonight, just choosing yourself, giving yourself grace, extending forgiveness to others, and really reaching out for support. if you feel like you need help, because I think that's the most important message here today, is that you're not alone. And Rumer, we commend you for sharing your story so publicly and being so transparent and being so open. And I want to give you the floor one last time. Is there any parting words that you'd like to say? Well, I know people want to know what's next for you, because now that you've had this newfound freedom, I forgot I got to ask that. What's next for you, beyond your sobriety journey? Where can we anticipate seeing you next? I know you're an actress and so many things, so I definitely want to touch on that, and then give you a chance to say any final words for people who are listening here tonight.
I actually just wrapped a project called My Divorce Party, which I must say was one of the most delightful jobs I've ever been on in my life. I had such an incredible time. And interestingly enough, my character was sober as well, which was fun. I felt like I had a lot to go off of. But the biggest thing I would just want everyone to take away is just that you're not alone, and that like, I hear you, I see you, I understand, and that there is never a moment that's too late to choose there, and that you're not a bad person, and that letting go of the shame and the guilt and all of these misidentifications and stories about whatever it is that makes you feel like you might deserve any of, like, the pain that you're feeling, and just do whatever in your power to just let it go, because it's not true. And that I'm always available for people. I've had many people reach out when they've been struggling, and I try to do the best that I can to answer any and all people that reach out in my DMs or anything like that. But just to keep trying, because we're never given more than we can handle, and yeah, just to keep going and try and hold yourself with as much grace and humility as you can.
Well, this has been such an enlightening conversation. You're so wise, Rumer. A woman way beyond your years and wisdom, just through your life story. So once again, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you all. I see you joined from all over the world and the country for listening in on this conversation. And we will be posting the replay on American Addiction Center. So if you just joined us and you're like, I want to hear all that Rumer had to say, no worries. You can go back and we will have the replay up on our IGTV. So once again, thank you, Rumer, and we wish everyone a good night. Bye.
Thank you.